Hey guys, welcome back. We are here for the 7th episode of our Catalyze Your Soul's Deepest Embodiment in the Context of Relationship. And we are announcing that this is a bonus episode. Surprise!
Surprise.
Surprise! Because we're going to pause our regularly scheduled program to honor this eclipse energy. This is the second time Katie and I have scheduled this recording. And the energy is calling us so much deeper into being present with each other and just like holding each other and the reflection of what's coming up for each of us. And there's a hard stop on the content that we have planned for these last 2 episodes, and a deep invitation into sharing this energy that we are exchanging with all of you, which is really one of like just being present together, right? Like just being with one another and honoring and revering what is being presented in yourself, in each other, in the collective, and in the cosmos right now. So I pulled some cards and we haven't processed them. We want to process them out loud with you guys and share some of what we've been talking about for the hour and 15 minutes before we started recording. And the other day when we talked for an hour and a half and never recorded. And it really comes around this topic of focusing on the relationship with ourselves. And I think that this energy has really just shown up, not only in this series and the timing that it has for a reason, but also just in the cosmos. And like, this is what it means to deeply honor what comes forward rather than plowing forward with a plan, right? This is what it means to trust the cosmos and let it lead you in life and business, right?
Yeah, it's really allowing the flow of life, the deep surrender, and just we're still showing up, right? We're still standing our ground, like holding that leadership, but following the energy, trusting the energy, because we know energy doesn't lie, right? Like,
right. And not in this place, like it was feeling forced the last
yeah,
couple of times we got together, and it was like, nope, like this is meant to be a natural flow, right? And there's so much richness in what we are sharing together that as we tuned into it, really felt guided to just share our presence with you and the state in which we are currently vibrating, existing, whatever. So we're just being with you today, and we're going to share this new moon reading. Okay. So, and then we're going to process this out loud together. So what should your new moon intention be? This is from the Prism Oracle deck. Those of you who know me know this is one of my besties. The new moon intention is surrender. So it's where are you being invited into not just surrendering maybe an aspect of yourself, an aspect of your life, any area that you feel like you're gripping or where you're finding confusion or struggle or real draining efforting, right? Or fixation. Surrender is coming in. The other thing is, where are you already benefiting deeply from surrender, but being invited to deepen further into it, to enrich the texture of that experience and the energy of that experience? And why is this your intention? Trust, to deepen your trust in the universe, in yourself, in the things you believe in, the things you want, the things you're invested and devoted in, and trusting that as you show up in surrendered confidence around that, that it's going to arrive. How can you best incorporate this intention into your life? Cleanse. What does this one mean to you, Katie?
it's interesting. I've been getting the nudge lately to do, I have a fairly clean diet, but just to clean it up a little bit more. Like to me, cleanse right now is feeling like with how I'm nourishing the inside of my body, right? And in turn, by doing that, it will cleanse my energy field. Because I think part of what we're feeling right now is we're like taking responsibility for other people's reactions. And so we're soaking in their energy. We're feeling the collective. So for me, that always starts with the nourishment within and let that ripple out, like let that cleanse by nourishing and cleansing internally, it cleanses externally for me.
You're creating space, like cellular space,
Yeah.
literally. Yeah. And I feel that in terms of being in nature,
Mm.
um, and really allowing Mother Earth to guide me, to infuse me, to shift me. And also, honestly, it's really a celebration of the discernment that I keep deepening around when it's other people's energy in my field. And that's one of the things that we were talking about before we started this was like this relationship with ourselves. Like yesterday, I felt activated, like something came up in me and I was feeling all sorts of ways. I was feeling a lot of weirdness. And and I realized later that it wasn't mine, but that I'm also, even though it wasn't mine, I know that it was there for a reason. And I'm grateful that it showed up because it allowed me to recognize my own discernment and centeredness and presence with my own energy in a way that was like, wow, okay. Okay, I've got this. Like I have mastered this discernment. And is that going to show up in every situation, every relationship going forward? No, I'm a human being, but like that never leaves me. It's just my awareness of it, I think. And so I think that when we intentionally cleanse, we are then inviting in deeper discernment of what is ours.
I really enjoy that because that makes me feel like the other part of cleanse is like, what is it that we are ready to see in ourselves in that form of like release and let go and just be able to see it to say, okay, this is how I want to show up, right? Like this refreshed, renewed identity, right? That we're stepping into. It feels like what patterns and habits, like that feels like a patterns and habits type of a cleanse too, what you're talking about. Like, what are the parts of me that I need to see that, like for me right now, it's that lack, right? Like
Mm,
really seeing all the ways in which I've been activated and how that ties into the lack and being willing to cleanse that and say, there is no lack, there is abundance.
mm. Yeah, I love that. And I think that cleansing is also about like being with, I think it's very cleansing to be with the trust of your own energy as it's presenting in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that as we do that, it's like we talked about intentional cleansing, right? But it's like if I can just bring that in the form of presence with what's coming into my field and truly witnessing it as energy without the narratives or attachments or meaning and all of that, like as I do that, I'm trusting my field to have its process. Like one of my favorite mantras ever is I trust the journey of my loved ones and release attachment to it. And I say this all the time. And it's like I trust the journey of my own energy and release attachment to it. And that feels so cleansing to me because it's like I don't need to intentionally like clear other people's energy from my field or like, cleanse in this way or the other, right? But instead, it's like just by being present with and trusting that my energy is my medicine and that it's guiding me, right? Like that feels like an automatic falling away of shit that doesn't match.
That's what I mean. Like, that's what I meant when I said, like, seeing the part of you that, like, you want to let go and release, but you're able to. We talked in another episode about recycling it back in, right? Like,
Yeah.
that it's that piece there that feels really cleansing because you're trusting yourself. You're not saying, I don't want that. You're not pushing it away. You're not removing it. You're saying, I trust that I know how to use this as my own medicine.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that because the outcome or the lesson for this moon phase, this new moon, is reflection, which is just hilarious, right?
Yeah.
It's like this whole process is about us seeing ourselves in the situations and experiences in our lives, in the presentations of our own energy. I mean, we were talking about this with you earlier, and it's like, okay, if you see something in somebody else, where is that presenting in you that you're being invited to look, and that doesn't, it's just taking that responsibility for saying like, okay, I can say that you're this, that you're anxious, that you're avoidant, that you're, activating, that you're this or that other, but okay, but where does that exist in my own field? Because I wouldn't be seeing it. And again, we don't need to get to this level of analysis for everything that comes up in our lives. But I think when it's really feeling sticky and heavy and hanging out there for a while, it's also really giving it the space and the reverence to show the medicine that source is providing to you in inviting it into your field.
Yeah. And that source energy feels cleansing. Right? Like it
Wow.
feels, that invitation in allows us that reflection, allows us that cleanse, allows us that trust, that surrender, right? Like it, and so
Yeah.
like, yes, it's source, right? Remember it reminds me of like, we are part of one, right? Like we all are a part of the collective. And so we are part of source just here, right? And so that relationship back with ourselves can look a lot of different ways. And it can look like inviting source in to help heal, but knowing that you can really rely on yourself to move through it because you
Mm.
are you are part of source, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I deeply feel that. And I feel like, yes, source coming in is cleansing automatically. And we are a reflection of source itself.
right.
And so it's like, as we don't make it about, I'm mad at this person, or this isn't working, or this feels hard, or it's like, okay, yes, that does exist. You can hold that. You can be frustrated. You can be whatever. And it's also true that source placed this in your field. And it's also true that this is here to expand you. And there's lessons in it that you may understand consciously, that you may not understand consciously. It's okay. Don't attach to having to know, but just be with yourself. Like just be with what's coming forward, because when you are going to recognize the resistance that comes forward in your mind, heart, and body to the expansion that source is inviting you into through this experience. And that's what you and I basically just talked about the last couple of times we've gotten together here to talk, right? It's just like, it's that, but no, I want it this way,
And
and
it's
it's like,
avoiding the thing that we need to do, right? Which
yeah,
is lead ourselves.
yup.
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about has over the past few days has been about, it's always come back to, wow, that's where you're hiding from your expansion. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's where you're avoiding this bigger level that you're being invited into.
Yeah.
Wow. This is where you're hiding from the enormity of what you can feel is coming, even if you have no fucking clue what that is.
Yeah. Oof. Just yes. It's it feels really it for me it feels like this intense wall, right? That I can like as I move forward, I can feel it like kind of do like the wobble, like a bubble, right? When it like
Mhm.
moves. But then it also like springs me back. And it's like, how do we surrender and trust that we can go through and get to that other side that is that unknown, right?
Yeah. And sometimes moving through means having the tantrum.
Right.
You know, like have it. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday. It was just like, I shouldn't have said anything and moved. And I'm just like, actually, I want you to be all of you all the time. Like it's being able to say that, like, I want to be all of me all the time. I want you to be all of you all the time. So we can do that. And I get to attend to what's coming through you when I feel like I have the bandwidth to do that. And even if I read that or receive that and it activates something in me, then I get to take responsibility for how it activated me and be able to be in that and recognize what's mine and not, and return to my center and my truth. And just, you know what it is? It's about feeling into it. It's not about responding from the mind. It's about feeling into it and being able to say, like, okay, I'm feeling into how this resonates vibrationally with my truth. And there's a rub. And since there's a rub, I know that something's off, and I don't know what's off, but I'm going to trust that something's off. And therefore, I'm just going to take space to be with what's off until clarity arrives. And it always will. And when I do that, it arrives so fast because I'm feeling into it. I'm not thinking about anything.
Yeah, we had talked about that off air, right? It was like we have to get to it. Not we have to, but it's an invitation for us to be with the energy, be with the core essence, and not the human 3D stories, words around it. It's like, I think it's partly why like we've had such a trouble recording this because it's not where the energy is. But where
Right.
we right? But like we can recognize that energy and go through that whole process you just explained, and then you follow that, right? You following the energy will always lead to the right path.
Well, and just like you said before we jumped on here today, hey, before we start recording today, let's just be in stillness together.
Right.
And we had no idea what we were going to say today. We just kind of said, all right, fine, I guess we'll do a card pull because we felt this when I went to the Akash about this after we had been talking here for a while to see where it was leading us. It was invite people into stillness with you. Just invite people into presence with you. And I think this is so fucking important with this series because it's about honoring the energy that's coming forward in the space between you and other people in relationship, in the space within yourself within relationship, and honoring your truth, yet worrying about how the other person's going to receive it, but being like, no, I have a responsibility to honor my own truth because that's my safety, right? That's my safety, is knowing that I can be a reliable caretaker of myself. And so I get to show up and just, even if I'm in conflict with somebody else, open a video call or a Zoom or an in-person and just be with you. Don't say a fucking word. Look into each other's eyes, hold each other's hands, sit in each other's presence, especially if you're pissy and you don't want to touch each other or look at each other, fine. Just be in each other's presence. Let the waves of energy flow. You're going to get peaks and you're going to get valleys, and you'll feel it while you're in the presence of another human. Let the waves roll in presence with one another. The power in that, the intimacy in that, the depth, the sovereignty, the expansion, fucking wild. If all relationships did this, holy shit.
It's true. And that I feel like we are so we're so so many of us are in this like 3D world all the time, and we're consumed by all these distractions, all these things that are right in front of us. And so when we are in an intimate relationship, we bring that with us. And so if we can just sit in the energy and and be fully present 100%, you and that other person, there are no words, right? It is indescribable what happens in that energy exchange.
And what did you say, Katie, earlier when we were talking? 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
8 minutes. You don't like presence with yourself, with other people, whatever. That's the amount of time that you really need to settle in. How would you say this?
Yeah, so somebody sent me a TikTok video that these two people were talking about how a person only needs 8 minutes to be fully seen and heard and to come to resolution. For me, that feels like deep presence. If you can give me your undivided attention for 8 minutes and hear me out and truly actively listen to me and just feel my presence, right? Like if there are words, actively listen. If there's not, okay, just sit in my presence, hold me.
Yeah.
Let me be seen, let me be witnessed, right?
Mm.
Um that's all that it takes for those stories of rejection or avoidance or fear or doubt or whatever, right? All of those stories stop when you give somebody 8 minutes of your undivided present attention.
I really love that so much because that's true. It's like, it's not just the person who's receiving your presence that deeply benefits and feels that, but you feel that, and it deeply benefits you because you are just like fully in the moment. And that's so good for your nervous system, for your heart's expansion, for your just palpable sensation in the body. Mm. Yeah, this is good. This is good. So friends, new moon intention, surrender. Why? So that your trust deepens in yourself and the universe and humanity at large and the space between you in a relationship, in the relationship. Because when we focus on ourselves and we take this space, it's not all right, I'm just gonna go do me. Right? It's I'm going to choose my vibration because I know that that's my tether to my power, to my center, to my essence, to my truth. And at the same time, I get to choose my deep faith and conviction in this experience, this relationship, this person, this space between us. I get to hold both. And how can you incorporate this intention into your life, this surrender, this trust? We talked about multiple ways to cleanse. Rewind if you need a refresher, so that you can fucking see yourself. That's what this is all about, people. I don't care what's pissing you off or stressing you out or getting you down or whatever. Your soul chose it. And the energy's there for a fucking reason. Do you need to know that reason right away? No. Will you ever figure it out? Maybe. But trust that you being with you is going to give you all the clarity you need. And that is what we most resist. So that's my other, flip side journal prompt is, where are you being invited to surrender more into seeing all of you, into being all of you, the demonstrative you, the essence of you, despite the fear that comes with doing that? Well, this person's not going to like me. This person's going to say this shit. That person's going to say that shit. You are unique medicine. You are sacred medicine. And it's like, we need to act that way when we're in a relationship with ourselves, as if we are medicine, being with ourselves is our own energy.
Yeah, and stop giving away our power to the other
Mm.
side of the relationship, right? Return it back to us, knowing that having full faith and trust in you will bring in the people that it's meant to, and release and free the other ones that aren't, right? It's all about
Mhm.
bringing it back to you, living that life and letting your energy be the impact, the ripple effect
Yeah.
out.
And appreciating and enjoying the benefits that you receive from being in relationship and getting your needs met and feeling joy and feeling sensual and sexual and passionate and playful and all of these things as well. But it's those moments of tension, those moments of holy fucking eclipse that come forward, that invite us into, yes, this is fucking amazing. And not, ooh, you're hitting a bump in the road, but ooh, you're hitting your edge for expansion and you're being invited. Will you take my hand?
Yeah.
Right? Mm. Mm.
Oh yeah,
So
this
good.
was so good. Yeah, this was so much better than what we could have forced.
Oh, see, yeah. Thank you guys for being present with us in this and for receiving. And I really would love any questions or feedback or sensations that come up within you after receiving this, because that concept that Katie was talking about earlier is something that dropped in for me this morning when I was just looking out the window and just feeling like it just kept coming in saying, I am one, I am one, I am one. And like that oneness that you were talking about earlier, like just being with that sensation and being discerning about the dissonance that arises in your field when you claim that, or when you're with it, or when you're in presence at all, or when you're struggling to be present.
That's where reflection for me is hands down key. Mm-hmm.
All right. I could probably like stay in this really dreamy, weird state. But we're going to close this up, guys. And we will see you next week to complete our series, unless unless a fucking meteor hits us in the head and, the energy takes us somewhere else. But for today, we're going to plan on returning to our regularly scheduled programming next week. We love you. And if you want to like be in just deep presence like this with us, where we just follow this flow and like really rawly and authentically draw forward what's coming up, please check out the link for our retreat, because we're going to be together in person, holding each other, snuggling, activating, moving, enlivening, illuminating. The adjectives are endless.
All the things.
All the things, but that link for our retreat is in the show notes. And if you need to reach out to us, you know where to find us. That's there too. And I love you, humans, and I love you, Katie, and I love me, Laura.
I love you, Laura.
And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now, friends.